The air grows cold. A shiver crawls down your spine. You're not alone. Something watches from the shadows, unseen, unheard, but ever present. It lingers in the forgotten corners of your memory, waiting for the right moment to resurface. These are the whispers from the shadows, the chilling echoes of childhood fears brought to life. These are true stories. Stories whispered in hushed tones, shared by those brave enough to confront the darkness. Stories that will leave you questioning the line between reality and nightmare. Are you ready to face your fears? The excitement of a new home quickly faded. The family had been searching for a place to call their own for months, and when they stumbled upon the old house at the edge of town, it seemed like a dream come true. The house, with its creaky floors and vintage charm, promised a fresh start and new memories. The family, eager for a fresh start, moved into the old house with hope in their hearts. They envisioned laughter echoing through the hallways and cozy nights by the fireplace. The parents were thrilled with the spacious rooms and the potential for renovations. Their son, however, felt something different. From the moment they arrived, he couldn't shake the feeling that they were not alone. It was as if the house itself was watching him, waiting for something. A coldness settled over him as he explored the overgrown backyard. The garden, once vibrant and full of life, now lay in ruins, with weeds choking the remnants of what once was. The boy felt a chill in the air, a sense of foreboding that he couldn't explain. The old treehouse, hidden among the leafy branches, called to him. It stood as a silent sentinel, its wooden planks weathered and worn. The boy felt an inexplicable urge to climb up and explore, as if the treehouse held secrets waiting to be uncovered. He found strange notes there, scrawled in a child's handwriting. "Go away," they warned. "This is my place." The notes were old, the paper yellowed with age, but the message was clear and unsettling. He brushed it off as a prank, but the notes continued to appear, each one more unsettling than the last. Then came the marshmallows. At first he thought it was a joke, something his friends might have done to scare him. Arranged in patterns on his windowsill each morning, held in place by tape. The marshmallows were meticulously placed, forming shapes and symbols that he didn't understand. It was as if someone was trying to communicate with him, but he couldn't decipher the message. A chill ran down his spine. The boy felt a growing sense of dread, a fear that gnawed at him day and night. He tried to tell his parents, but they dismissed it as his imagination running wild. They were carefully placed, meticulously arranged. He was being watched. The boy knew that someone or something was trying to reach out to him. The unseen guest in their new house was making its presence known, and the boy was determined to uncover the truth. The woods held a certain allure for children. It was a place where the boundaries of reality and fantasy blurred, where every rustle of leaves and distant bird call could be the start of a grand adventure. A place of secrets and shadows where imagination ran wild. The dense canopy above created a world of twilight, even in the middle of the day, casting long, eerie shadows that danced with the wind. For one young boy, the woods became a sanctuary, a world he shared with his imaginary friend, Jake. This boy, often seen with a distant look in his eyes, found solace among the trees, away from the prying eyes of the world. Jake, he claimed, was kind and funny, always up for an adventure. They would embark on countless quests, battling imaginary foes and discovering hidden treasures. To the boy, Jake was more than just a figment of his imagination. He was a true companion. But his parents noticed a change in their son. The once cheerful and outgoing child began to retreat into himself. His laughter, once a source of joy, now carried an unsettling edge. As if there was a secret he was hiding, he grew withdrawn, his laughter tinged with an unsettling edge. The boy who once played with friends now spent hours alone in the woods, whispering to someone only he could see. His parents' concern grew with each passing day. He would leave toys and food in the woods for Jake, whispering to him in hushed tones they couldn't quite make out. The offerings became more frequent, and the boy's whispers more urgent, as if he was trying to appease an unseen force. One day, his father discovered a series of disturbing drawings hidden under his son's bed. The images were unlike anything the boy had ever drawn before, filled with dark, twisted shapes and haunting figures. They depicted Jake, not as a friendly companion, but as a grotesque figure with sharp teeth and glowing eyes. The once comforting presence had transformed into something nightmarish, a creature of fear and dread. The inscription beneath each drawing sent chills down his spine. "Jake protects me." The words, scrawled in a child's handwriting, hinted at a dark bond between the boy and his imaginary friend, a bond that was growing stronger and more dangerous with each passing day. The old house stood on a quiet street, its windows dark and uninviting. The air around it seemed to hum with an eerie silence, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or the distant hoot of an owl. It was the kind of place that made you quicken your pace as you walked by, even in the daytime. Inside, a student burned the midnight oil, his eyes glued to a textbook. The room was dimly lit by a single desk lamp, casting long shadows on the walls. He was engrossed in his studies, trying to cram as much information as possible before the looming exams. The ticking of the clock was the only sound, a constant reminder of the passing time. A sudden movement outside his window caught his eye. He glanced up, his heart skipping a beat. The shadows outside seemed to dance and shift, playing tricks on his tired mind. He shook his head, trying to dismiss it as a figment of his imagination, but the unease lingered. 3 figures, their faces hidden by hoodies, stood motionless in the yard across the street. They were like statues, eerily still and silent. The student squinted, trying to make out their features, but the darkness was too thick. A chill ran down his spine as he realized they were staring directly at his window. He watched, his heart pounding in his chest as they seemed to melt into the shadows. One moment they were there, the next they were gone, swallowed by the night. He blinked, wondering if he'd imagined the whole thing, but the lingering sense of dread told him otherwise. Night after night they returned, their presence a silent, menacing threat. Each time they stood a little closer, their intentions unclear but undeniably sinister. The student found it harder and harder to concentrate on his studies, his mind constantly drifting to the figures outside. One night their silence was shattered. A loud noise, like a gunshot or a firecracker, echoed through the night. The student jumped, his heart racing. He peered out the window, his hands trembling. The figures were still there, but now they were moving, their actions more deliberate and aggressive. One of the figures pulled out a bong, lit it, and took a long drag. The glow of the lighter briefly illuminated his face, revealing a twisted smile. The student felt a surge of anger. How dare they invade his peace and quiet, turning his sanctuary into a place of fear? The student, his fear giving way to anger, grabbed his phone and dialed 911. His voice was shaky as he explained the situation to the operator, but there was a steely determination in his eyes. He was done being a passive observer. It was time to take action. The figures scattered as the sirens approached, leaving behind only the lingering scent of marijuana and a sense of unease that clung to the student like a shroud. He watched them disappear into the night, a mixture of relief and apprehension washing over him. The police arrived, their flashing lights casting an eerie glow on the scene, but the figures were long gone. The student knew that this was not the end, but merely a temporary reprieve. The night held many secrets, and the figures in the yard were just one of them. Section 5. A voice in the darkness. The night was silent, save for the soft snores of a child sleeping peacefully in his bed. Suddenly he was jolted awake by a voice, low and guttural, whispering his name. His eyes flew open, but the room was empty. He scrambled out of bed, his heart racing, and ran to his parents' room. "There's someone in my room," he cried, his voice trembling with fear. His parents searched the house from top to bottom, but found nothing. The police were called, but even they were baffled. The voice was never heard again, but the child never forgot the chilling whisper that shattered the peace of that night. Section 6. The Unseen Force. These stories, though different in their details, share a common thread, the chilling presence of the unknown. A force that lurks just beyond the veil of our perception, occasionally revealing itself in glimpses and whispers. The human mind is a powerful instrument capable of conjuring both wonders and horrors. But what happens when our fears take on a life of their own? When the line between imagination and reality blurs? These stories remind us that we are not alone in the darkness, that some mysteries are best left unsolved. Section 7. The haunting continues, the shadows linger, the fear remains. These stories are more than just tales to tell in the dark. They are reminders of the fragility of our reality, the thin veil that separates us from the unknown. They are a testament to the power of the human psyche, to the way our fears can manifest in the world around us. They are a glimpse into the darkness that resides within us all, waiting for the right moment to emerge. Are you listening? Section 8, Sharing Your Truths. These stories were shared by those brave enough to confront their fears, to give voice to the whispers in the shadows. But they are not alone. We all have stories to tell, experiences that have shaped us, haunted us, and stayed with us long after the lights have come on. Have you ever felt a chill down your spine when you were home alone? Have you ever heard your name whispered in the dark? Have you ever felt like you were being watched even when you knew you were alone? Your stories matter. They deserve to be heard. Section 9, a final word. The darkness is vast and unforgiving. It holds secrets we may never understand, truths we may not be ready to face, but in the sharing of our fears we find solace, connection, and the courage to confront the unknown. So the next time you find yourself alone in the dark, remember these stories. Remember that you are not alone. Remember that the shadows hold more than just fear. They hold the potential for understanding, for empathy, and for the realization that sometimes the most terrifying monsters are the ones we create ourselves. Sleep well and keep the lights on.